Hello and welcome back. Today we're talking about groups. So maybe you aren't antisocial, you have been mis-socialized. If you have a problem being in groups, some people leave groups feeling energized, connected, expanded, and other people, like me, leave feeling tired, false, sometimes agitated, or just off. And for a long time, this second group is taught to assume the problem is them. We think we're awkward, too sensitive, antisocial, immature, bad at belonging, bad at people. But I want to offer another possibility. Maybe you're not bad at groups. Maybe your nervous system has been trained to override itself in order to survive dynamics that never felt right to you. And because group participation is treated as healthy, normal, and necessary, you may have spent years calling override growth. I don't think it is. I think a lot of people have been mis-socialized by normalcy itself. What do I mean by that? I mean, we were taught that the group is the standard. The room is the standard. The majority vibe is the standard. And if your body objects, if your attention tightens and your thinking dulls and your energy drops, if your sense of self gets blurry, you're supposed to push through all that and call it maturity. You're supposed to smile when something feels wrong, speak when you would rather stay quiet, ignore weirdness because everyone else is ignoring it, pretend forced cheer is warmth, pretend diffusion is intimacy or depletion is connection. And if you can do that well enough, you get to be called socially skilled. But I want to make a distinction here that I think matters a lot. There is a difference between connection and compliance. And many people were taught compliance so early and so thoroughly that they no longer know when they're actually connected and when they're simply overriding themselves to maintain social cohesion. This matters because the body keeps score in some very plain ways. Some people do not leave groups with a feeling of nourishment. They leave with mental fog, fatigue, internal static, irritability, self-doubt, and sometimes a strange feeling of having been slightly edited by the room. That's not imaginary. Now, I'm not saying all groups are bad, and I'm not saying nobody should ever work collectively. I'm not saying solitude is superior either. What I'm saying is that group dynamics are not neutral. A group is not automatically healthy just because it's a group. Groups have pressure, pacing, hierarchy, rules, unspoken loyalties, performance demands, pressure towards sameness, pressure towards silence, pressure towards enthusiasm, and towards not being the difficult one. And some nervous systems register that pressure much more strongly than others, especially if you're someone who notices a lot, who tracks a lot, who reads tension quickly and feels a mismatch before you can explain it, or pays a high physiological cost for overriding yourself. For those people, groups can become very expensive very fast. And the most painful part is you often don't know that it's happening. You just know that after a while you feel small, scrambled, falsified, or tired in a way that doesn't match the apparent simplicity of what has occurred. Then you blame yourself. That self-blame is often injury on top of the original mismatch. Because now you're not only dysregulated, you're also telling yourself a story. I should be better at this. Everyone else seems fine. Why am I like this? Why can't I just relax? But everyone else seems fine is not actually reliable information. A lot of people are not fine. They're just more practiced at social override, or they're more rewarded for their performance in the group, or they're even less aware of what it costs them. But some people are getting genuine nourishment from the room, yes. But others are getting slowly distorted and calling it normal because no one gave them another map. So, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is not becoming antisocial. The alternative is learning to recognize your own system, your own signal, before a room trains you out of it. That might mean noticing, do I feel like myself here or less? Does my thinking get clearer or duller? Does my body soften or does it brace? Am I participating, this is important, because I want to or because the room expects it? For me, that is the biggest one. Am I participating because I want to or because it's expected of me? That rolls out a ton of groups, I'll tell you right there. Am I connected or am I complying? Those are all different states. And if you don't learn to distinguish them, you can spend years donating your nervous system to rooms that do not deserve it. It's a harsh sentence, but I think it's true. You do not owe every room your adaptation. You do not owe every group your openness. You don't owe every gathering your nervous system. And there's a strange freedom in finally realizing that. Because once you stop treating group as automatically good, you can become much more discerning. You can start asking which groups are actually coherent, which groups allow reality, which groups reward performance over truth, which ones diffuse responsibility, and which ones leave me more myself. Which ones require me to split off parts of my own knowing. That's not arrogance, folks. That's hygiene. And yes, there can be sadness in this, because many people who begin seeing this clearly, as I did recently, also realize how much of their life was spent force-fitting, trying to belong, trying to be normal, trying to tolerate what their body was plainly refusing. It's sad, but it's clarifying, because once you see the cost, you can stop calling self-betrayal maturity. You can stop treating chronic override as social health. Stop assuming that the problem is you're bad at people. Maybe you're not bad at people. Maybe you're no longer willing to call distortion connection, and that's a very different thing. If this is you, the work is not to become endlessly accommodating, which I have been. The work is to become more accurate, to know when you're open and when you're overriding, to know when you're nourished and when you're drained, to know when a room is asking for your true presence or when it's asking for self-erasure. That kind of discernment changes everything, because then belonging is no longer the highest good. Reality is. And from there, oddly enough, the right forms of connection are so much easier to find. Not because you learned to fit everywhere, but because you stopped abandoning yourself just to stay included. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Have groups genuinely nourished you? Or have you spent years forcing yourself to fit because you thought that's what healthy people do? Like and subscribe.